Hey, what's up, everybody? Marty Griffin here with the Golf Strategy School podcast. And, you guys know, if you're listeners to the podcast, that this podcast has always been about breaking 90, because really, let's be honest, that is the first big, major milestone that you have when you start taking golf more seriously. And that is awesome. And that is exactly why I put together the Breaking 90 Blueprint. Breaking 90 Blueprint is designed to help you make more solid contact, designed to help you fix your slice, develop a pre-shot routine that you can count on under pressure, and honestly teach you how to play the game intelligently so you're not taking as many risks and you get rid of those big numbers, those 8s, those 9s, those 10s off your scorecard. So if that's the position you're in, stick with me here. I got more for you. But what I really wanted to talk about is the fact that I've been getting a lot of comments, a lot of questions about, hey, I've been listening to your podcast for all these years, or I'm in the Breaking 90 Blueprint. I am now breaking 90. I love the show, but I want to keep going. Do you have anything for more skilled golfers, more avid golfers? Do you have anything, and this is what it really came down to, about breaking 80? And the answer is yes. That's usually what I work on with my students in person. But you can't all come to Wisconsin and take lessons from me. I understand that. I get it. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to you about kind of the fundamental differences between breaking 90 and breaking 80 in terms of like what skills you really need to have. And then I also want to let you know that I am putting together another product all about breaking 80. Now, this is going to be a little different because in the past, I've sold my product as a one-off, one single purchase price. The Breaking 90 Blueprint is $197. What I want to do is I want to make this more accessible for more people. I've gotten a lot of comments about people who would like to, but it's out of their price range. And so what I want to tell you about is first the Breaking 80 Blueprint, and then I want to tell you about my new pricing structure, which I think is fantastic and it's crazy affordable. I'm talking less than one lesson's cost. So let's first talk about what it takes to break 80 and really kind of looking back at what it takes to break 90. So like I said, in the Breaking 90 Blueprint, we need consistent contact. And for most people, that was fixing their slice. And we need a way that we can kind of get around the course in a more conservative manner that's going to eliminate those big blow up holes. So that's really things like making sure that we're not three putting anymore, making sure that we're not losing strokes off the tee, and then some conversations around like conservative shot choices in terms of approach shots. Makes sense. You gotta have the training wheels on first before you can move on to the more difficult tasks. So for breaking 80, if I were to kind of lay out the fundamentals, again, I'm going to go back to short game, but not just putting. I'm talking all of our short game. You can move mountains with your short game in terms of progressing towards breaking 80. I can't tell you how many times that I've been absolutely garbage off the tee, yet with the short game, I still managed to break 80. Real quick example, I was playing in a state amateur qualifier. I lost 9 golf balls off the tee. This course was just covered in water. I lost 9 golf balls off the tee. Still shot 79. Now, that didn't get me into the state amateur, but it was something that I took that told me, hey, if I persevere, if I make sure that the scrambling is really, really highly polished and highly skilled, I can have a bad day in a lot of other ways and still put up a really nice score. So, having our putting and our chipping and our short game really sharp, that is a huge fundamental of breaking 80. You also have to make sure that you have good tempo to your swing, a good kind of rhythm to your swing. And this doesn't purely relate to just hitting shots more solidly. Obviously that helps it. The more fluid we have our swing, the better we're going to make contact, the more distance we're going to get. It all obviously helps that. But what is often overlooked is the distance control that comes with good tempo. If you're really, really in tune with your tempo and kind of how much tension you have in your body when you're swinging, you can start to just ever so slightly finesse and manipulate your distances. So instead of having a ball that just gets onto the green, you can have a ball that gets onto the green and gets kind of close to the pin. So we can start making more birdies instead of pars and bogeys. Our next one, and this is honestly such a huge fundamental for breaking 80, is to learn how to play under pressure. Because so many people, they get into these situations where they're coming down the stretch and it's their best score ever. And then 16, 17, 18 is all just blah. They just go like double, and then bogey. And they just lose everything right at the end. Or it's the flip side. How many times have you had an absolutely garbage front nine and then turn it around and play amazing on the back nine? I can tell you one time, this is embarrassing, but one time I went 48-36. It's because I didn't know how to perform under pressure. I was garbage on the front nine, so there was no more pressure. And then I was able to shoot par on the back nine. How crazy is that? These are all these things that we need to learn. We need to learn how to perform under pressure the entire round. We need to learn how we react under pressure. It's very, very important to know how your body reacts, mainly due to a hormone called cortisol. It's the stress hormone. You probably heard of it. This actually changes how you think and how you react. So it's really important to know first what your natural kind of like knee-jerk reaction is to all these different events on a golf course. But then you have to develop processes to actually kind of change those to something that won't actually trigger that critical cortisol reaction. So performing under pressure is definitely a huge one. And this is, when you hear people talk about, well, I'm just so good on the driving range. I just can't get it out there on the course though. How do we take our game from the range to the course? We need to learn how to experience that pressure in practice. That way, when we go out, we already know how we're going to react, and it's not a surprise. When we move on to our fourth tenet, you probably guessed it. It's the mental game. The mental game to break 80 is obviously important. This is really kind of comes down to something that most people, they don't realize it until they hear it, and that is commitment to shots and commitment to clubs. So, just think this through on your own. How many times have you been kind of rolling a shot through your head as you're walking up to it? Okay, this looks like it's going to be 150, and you figure out your distance, and instead of 150, it's 146. Oh man, that's like right between my 8-iron and my 9-iron. I don't know what to do. Well, do I take my soft 8-iron or do I hit a hard 9-iron? It's all of those different decisions that you have to make. And really, how do you go about staying completely committed to that throughout the duration of the swing? Now, there's plenty of people who have talked about this in the past. And for me, it kind of boils down to a couple things. And we'll talk about those more in the mental game section. But the mental game itself, and really this is that big step, is learning how to fully 1000% commit to your shots is a huge step towards breaking 80. So that's what our different tenets are. You can see how those tenets for breaking 80, putting and short game, having good tempo, which leads us to better distance control, learning how to perform under pressure and how we get there by having specific structured practices. And then our mental game that teaches us to be fully committed to our shots. You can see how that's different from our breaking 90 process, which is let's learn how to make consistent, solid contact. Let's learn how to play the ball one shape, so preferably a draw. And then let's learn how to think our way around the course in a less aggressive manner. So we can see how these things are different. And as I'm sure you can imagine, that process for breaking 80, much more of a journey. If you're a new golfer, you can get out and in your first year, you can be shooting 115. You can get down to under 100. Heck, you might even get a couple rounds in at 89, 88. That could all happen in your first year. But if you're not taking lessons, it is going to take you a significantly longer time to learn how to break 80. It took me, even with lessons, because I didn't know all of this about practicing and I didn't have a mental game coach. It took me, I started when I was 12. The first time I broke 80 was, I think I was 16 years old. It was at the Max Fly Junior Championships at my home course. I shot 76, 74. And it happened. It all came together and it worked. I'll never forget the 76 was 42-34, 6 over on the front, 2 under on the back. And it was just one of those things where, because I was 6 over on the front, I thought I was totally out of the running, but I got so incredibly hot on the back 9, I made it work. And because it's much more of a journey, we have to think of it like that. This is a process that happens over a period of time. And if we want to make that journey, we have to have a solid laid out plan. Now, for me personally, my plan, the way I teach, is from the cup backwards, which is not usually how you practice. And it's not usually how most people learn golf. But if you learn from the cup backwards, what you're doing is you're building an incredibly strong foundation close to the green. So that's our short game. That's our putting. We're getting incredibly proficient close to the green. Then we're going to back up a little bit and we're going to get into those full swing irons. What's that? Tempo, distance control, learning how we feel the tension in our bodies and how that impacts our play on the golf course. Moving into a little bit more of the heat of the moment, what do you do when you are coming in hot and you don't want to, end up screwing the pooch and just losing a fantastic round? Well, that's our performing under pressure. And then lastly, how do we tie it all together? That's the mental game. We can go through these 4 phases, and if we do them in that order, we're going to learn a lot quicker. We're going to make progress a heck of a lot faster, and we're going to see those scores dropping a lot quicker as well. So all of this in the Breaking 80 blueprint would honestly be probably 2 to 3 times more expensive than the Breaking 90 blueprint. Because let's be honest, it's a big cost outlay for me. It cost me $250 per month to run the podcast, but I'm happy to do that if I have the interest from people. Now, I've been getting messages, emails, comments on social media, people asking me, reaching out, people who have been through the Breaking 90 blueprint saying, hey, when are you going to do something for Breaking 80? And John in Nebraska, you have been on me about this the longest. I'm doing this for you, buddy. Okay. You've asked, you've been there. I'm doing this for you. So I am going to create the Breaking 80 blueprint. But here's the thing. If it were a $600 course, the Breaking 90 blueprint is $197. If this were a $600 course, no one would do it. No one wants to pay $600 for online golf lessons. And if I think back to what the real true meaning of this podcast was, to help me keep my relationship with golf, because really that's the relationship that I associate with my father, who I lost 11 years ago. That is not honoring his spirit to have a $600 course, because it would price so many people out. It would be ridiculous. Instead, and this is just for the first month here, so to the end of September, instead, I want to do this as a monthly subscription. Now, I've tried teaching both ways in the past. There's pros and cons to each. But I think with the monthly subscription, we can develop a solid group of people that will work together, help encourage each other, have that, that kind of community aspect where you're held accountable, where you can ask questions, directly of me, and I'll be there to answer. And other people will be there to help you celebrate your wins and help you figure out what's going wrong in your losses. I mean, I'm going to be right there with you if you're struggling on anything. And I want to do this for the stupidly low price of $19 per month. But this is only, there's 2 onlys here. This is only for the first month, so the month of September. And this is only if we get at least 30 people to sign up. Now, Why do I say we need at least 30 people? Again, with the amount of time, effort, cost, energy that it takes to put together these courses, at 30 people, it becomes cost effective for me. I'm just being 100% honest with you. But I don't want to stop at just 30 people. If we get more people to sign up, hooray. If we don't get 30 people to sign up, not a problem. I'll give you your money back and I won't bother going through it. Now, I've already got a couple of these things filmed and I will make that available right away. But the course is not done. It'll be completely finished and polished before the end of the month. But I just want to know if I see, a bunch of people sign up right away for 20 a month, then hey, I know that we're probably going to hit 30 and I'll really start leaning in and cranking out these videos. If I'm not seeing anybody go through this process and actually sign up, then I'm not going to spend the money on a video editor and I'm not going to spend the money on filming and things like that. So this is really kind of you and I agreeing that we want to do this together. And like I said, I don't want to just stop it there. I want to make the Breaking 90 blueprint available at that same price. So really you get everything that I teach. You get my swing fundamentals. You get everything on how to play that conservative mental game. And then once you progress beyond that breaking 90 point, when you're ready to take that step towards breaking 80, it's all already there in your membership. It's already there waiting for you to come experience better golf. Now, going forward, if you decide, hey, you know what? I might live in a northern area. This really isn't for me. I don't, it's just not right now. Not right now. Not good for me. That's totally fine. I hear you. I'm not mad about it, but just know that this $19 per month only lasts for the first month, only to the end of September. Once we get beyond that, you can join, but it's not going to be $19 per month. Okay. That's my promise from me to you. It's not going to be $19 per month because the more this expands, the more help I'm going to have to bring in. And that's an added cost. So you can lock in that $19 per month for life and you can continue to have that $19 per month price. But going forward, if you decide to not get in now, you are going to be missing out on that price. It will be at a higher point. Now, for my next episodes coming up, I want to dive a little bit more into the conversations that surround this breaking 80 process. So like we talked about, we've got 4 main tenets. We've got our short game and our putting. We've got our rhythm and our tempo. We've got our performance under pressure, and we've got our mental game. I'm going to be going into like the concepts that we're talking about in these next 4 episodes throughout the month of September. And I really hope you stick with me here. And I hope you learn about this. I think there's something to be learned just by hearing the conceptual conversation. But if you want to be in there, if you want to get that actual straight up education, this is how you practice. This is how you set up your practice. This is how you schedule it. This is how you do everything around that practice to make yourself a better, more proficient golfer, then you're going to have to sign up for the Breaking 80 Blueprint. But I'll look forward to seeing you in there because, hey, the people who have signed up for the Breaking 90 Blueprint, they've seen the improvement. I am absolutely seeing them in the short grass. You sign up for that Breaking 80 Blueprint, you're going to be right there with them. So, as always, I will catch you in the short grass. If you want more information, just click the link below. Peace.